Welcome to Soul Church Online. We're so glad that you joined us today, wherever you're watching from around the world.
Our prayer is that as we worship together, open God's Word, that God will speak to you. You'll feel refreshed, replenished, encouraged, and ready to go into a brand new week.
When I first joined the British Special Forces as a young soldier, a guy much wiser than me said this to me, and I've always remembered it. He said, there are three things in life to have faith in. Faith in yourself, faith in each other, and faith in the Almighty. And it's always stuck with me. But what does it really mean, faith? And how can it guide us and empower us and matter to our lives? Because I think the temptation is when everything's great, it's easy to think that we don't need anything. But what often happens in life is that life then comes along and hits us hard, often left field. I was talking to somebody earlier who's going through exactly this at the moment. It takes our legs away from us. It tests us. And it will ask some questions at some point. And if our foundations in our life are shaky, we fall down. And I've seen it often. I've seen it often in the wild as well. Everyone thinks they're strong. I take them into deserts, jungles. Everyone thinks they're strong until we're not. Myself included, the wild is a very humbling place. But it is a universal truth that whoever we are, young, old, whoever we are, life will hit us. And it's like our Everest, if you like. Our Everest will eventually come. And that might be it might be a real mountain. It might be a different sort of mountain. Maybe a mountain of the heart. Maybe a tough time at home. Or at work or school. Maybe something worse. Maybe we lose someone close to us. Whatever it is, our Everest in life will always come. And I was lucky enough many years ago to get to stand on the summit of the world's highest mountain, on the summit of Everest, 29,035 feet high. Took our small team 65 days to climb. A long time. The summit's tiny. Summit's like this. Little coffee table, small. Minus 45 degrees. The only fun thing about minus 45 degrees is that when you have a pee, it freezes instantly. It's actually pretty cool. It's like... But that high and that hostile mountain also took its toll. And we had 4 climbers lose their lives up there. 2 died of the cold, and 2 fell to their deaths. And to be honest, on that mountain, I experienced as many moments of struggle and doubt as I did moments of eyes wide wonder. And people often ask me, they say, in those moments, what really helped you? What's helped you since? There's so many deserts and jungles and mountains and oceans. And the answer goes back to that soldier, that guy who said those words. to that word, faith. I think especially faith in each other, and especially faith in the Almighty. And I've just learned that on my own, I'm not as strong as people think. I know the TV's always makes it look great. But on my own, I'm actually pretty weak. But connected to something bigger, I get stronger. And I always look at it like the hand and the glove. You know, the glove on its own is pretty useless. But with the hand inside, it gets strength and purpose. And that has been that word for me, like faith. It's helped me in so many moments, in so many ways, not just in the day job, not just dragging myself out of quicksand or pinned in rapids or avalanches or rockfalls or parachute failures, but in life as well, in the good times, but also in the trickier times. I've just learned to lean on the beautiful presence of Christ within. And it's never been more complicated than that, and never particularly religious as such. I know we're in a church, but I don't go a huge amount. But that faith has never left me, and it's always there, and it's quiet, and it's empowering, and it's never let me down. Which isn't to say, though, that life then has been easy. Because in truth, having faith has actually been the opposite. It's actually meant many, many battles and struggles and doubts as well. You know, and all those things, they're just part of life. They're part of the journey. Actually maybe especially the doubts. You know, I think it's like two sides of the same coin, faith and doubt. You can't have one without the other. It's part of having faith. It's okay. And then at other times, I've just tried to do life on my own. And I'm okay, I've got it. And I survived for a while. But I've just learned again that on our own, we're never truly empowered. Time and many experiences have just shown me that. It's like, I don't know, it's hard to, I don't know, it's like a point of awareness that actually having the Almighty inside is the starting point of all true adventure. It's actually where it begins. So, nowadays, when it comes to quietly bending the knee and asking for that presence to bring me peace at many times where I don't always feel it, or to give me strength at many times where I don't feel very strong, or even to try and keep me walking in the light, in the good stuff. I got no problem now bending the knee. It's like I've got nothing to lose. I've got everything to gain in my life. And there's a really beautiful quote my mum always used to say. She said, "Man is never as tall as when he kneels down." And I always liked that. But it's a humbling journey. It's actually a really, really difficult thing to do. I'm going to finish this a little bit by telling you something I once found in a small mountain chapel. We were high up in these mountains, the other side of the world, and we were going through this forest, and I came across this little mountain chapel, tiny, not like this, tiny, like one little room, thick walls, small little door, no lock. You know, it went inside, and there was a bench, and at the end there was this old, rough, wooden cross. And I saw that had something written on it, and I went up to look at it, and the words hit me, and I've never forgotten them, and it sums up for me faith. And it just said this, it said, "Christ beside me, Christ within me, Christ to shield me, and Christ to win me. And they're beautiful words. They're humble words, but they're words that have always stayed, and they've helped me so much to be ready for life and for adventure. And it's why I say those two words, adventure and faith, one and the same. Thank you. How are you, John? This man's a great man. He's what you've worked really hard for tonight, and I know you give so, and all of your team have been so sweet. You give so much to the community and selflessly, and the more I see of you guys and your team, I admire what you do. So thank you for hosting me.
Thank you, Bear. Well, thank you for sharing so honestly and openly your story of adventure and faith. And we also want to give everyone here tonight the opportunity to ask some questions and have a little bit more of an open discussion. And we'd like to
stand. I hate these things.
You want to stand? Yeah.
I always feel so awkward sitting down.
No.
And like when I'm a little nervous, I'm kind of fidgety.
You're the boss.
No, I'm not saying that, but like, it's nice to stand. Also, I kind of feel like you're working for a living if you're standing. Not by the way that I'm getting paid, just to it's been a long mission to the great city of Norwich, but I wanted to be here, and we are.
You finally made it.
I did. Some very good sandwiches, though. They were delicious.
We also want to let you know that tomorrow we're going to be broadcasting this from tonight, so you can watch it back and share it with your friends and family or those who weren't able to get here, so we want to make that resource available to you. We also want to give you the opportunity, as I said, to send in some questions. So on the screens in front of you will come up a QR code, and you can just scan that QR code, and it will send me a message to my phone, and it will be filtered. So we might throw a couple of little surprises at Bear, see what happens. But, okay, these are a couple of questions that came in earlier, Bear. You served as a trooper with 21 SAS as a young man. What was that time like?
I think that was first of all, I was very junior. I only served a few years. I was a bottom rank. Many of the friends that I served with went on to do so many more incredible things than I ever did. So I really was. I was private. I was at the most junior rank. But I think that family and that connection has never left me. I actually failed selection first time round. People often don't know that. We always have the highlights, don't we? But no, I remember first time turning up, 120 soldiers, looking left, looking right, everyone just thinking, I'm dead. I'm never going to make it. And failing about halfway through and just being devastated at the time. But going back and trying second time, and this time 120 soldiers again. I didn't look left, I didn't look right. It was like, I know what I got to do. I've got to give more, dig deeper, work harder, be all in, be that never give upper. I'm either dying or I'm fasting. I'm not, this is it, I'm in. And then, as you know, there's a power in life to all in. And at the end, there were 8 of us who passed, and those friendships, to be honest, have been one of the most beautiful things in my life. They endure to this day. Best friends to this day, and the job itself was incredible. I mean, my job there was all the combat survival and the skydiving and the climbing, and it's something I got to use so much, still do in my day job. So, but beyond that, really, it's about, for me, the friendships were the best bit.
You mentioned, we watched the video of you climbing Everest, but 18 months before that, many people might not know, but you broke your back. Was it in a free fall accident? How did you overcome such a tragedy to then, 18 months later, manage to summit Everest?
Well, it makes it sound like a great journey. I mean, the truth, it was a struggle and it was a battle, and it had more down moments than up moments. But I broke my back in this free-fall accident in Africa and spent many, many months in Headley Court, which is a military rehab place in the UK, and just, I think it hit my confidence, to be honest, as much as the physicality. I mean, the physicality was hard. I couldn't even reach a bathroom across a hall without it being an Everest in itself. And then that knocks, obviously, your confidence. But, you know what, I also look back on that time, and it's like sometimes in life, these left field things become the making of us. You know, it's the storms that make us stronger. As I said to a friend who's going through a battle at the moment, I've never met a strong person who's had an easy past. You know, the setbacks are actually where life is at. And I wish I could speak to that young me then and say, it's going to be okay. Just hold on to simple things. You know, my family were amazing. My faith was a part of that. You know, but it was maybe one step forward, 3 back, and you keep moving and you know, eventually get there.
Amazing. A couple of questions coming about your camera crew. Just the part they play in that and the risk involved for them. Can you open up about any of that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the other part of my life then. Obviously, the TV stuff that's been my kind of career for the last however many years, and huge privilege. And those camera teams are the real unsung heroes on the whole journey. I mean, they do, I mean, I always say they do everything I do, but backwards whilst carrying huge weights. I have the easy job. You know, like with the military stuff, still best friends to this day. I think one of the things I'm most proud of, actually, is that we have the same team as we've had from the beginning. And actually, in the world of TV, that's super transient. Everyone's always, you know, changing crews and whatever's cheaper and faster. And it's like, but actually, in our world, we've kept the same people pretty well from the start. Best friends to this day. I don't know, there's a different level of trust on a mountain or in a jungle. You know, small team, and we have to have each other's back every moment. And like I say, they're remarkable, yeah.
Now, your TV shows are watched by over 1 billion people worldwide, an audience that's incredible. How do you feel about that? Could you have ever imagined that as a young
I don't know. I take that side of it with not just a pinch of salt. I take it with a bucket of salt, that part. It's like, it's a byproduct of my job. I think for our boys growing up, we have 3 sons, and I always used to say to them when they were little, it's good, it's connection, it's friends all over the world, that's what it is. And it's true, people are always incredibly kind and generally want to tell their stories that have just been camping with their dad or had an epic adventure, and I love that. It's like I say, friends all over the world. I never take that for granted, but I try not to. I mean, my sister's much more extrovert than me. She always say, it's so wasted on you, because we sort of tend to film and then go home and don't go to nearly enough of the parties, and she was all going, I'm going. I go, yes, please.
2 quick fire questions. First of all, what's the worst thing you've ever eaten? I'm going to throw in a bit more to that, or drunk.
Well, they're bad on both fronts, to be honest. Worst thing, well, first thing, let's deal with the drinking. I do get people on a daily basis offering me, you know, if I go into a bar, it's always a pint of pee, pint of urine. I'd like to just say I'm not one of these people who does this for fun. They do exist out there, people like that. I'm not one of them. I have had to drink my own pee many times in the name of survival, not in the name of, like, you know. So how is it bad is the answer to that. If your life is on the line and your pee is hydrated, nice and clear, you should drink it. If it's really brown and stinking and you're severely dehydrated, that is not going to help you. Don't drink it then. But the answer is yes, pee could save your life. Worst thing I've ever eaten is a long list of, I don't know, rat brain was a low point. Goat's testicles that was actually an even lower point. Massively hung goat as well. It was like the whole thing, everything was wrong about that. Tarantulas, scorpions, snakes, camel intestinal fluids, yak eyeballs. Probably the worst was the anus of a skunk. Which I know in the cold light today, with hindsight, the clue was in the 2 words, you know, in hindsight. Yeah. It's probably the first time ever that those 2 words have been mentioned in this church. Yes. Nobody ever comes around for dinner any longer. You know?
And just on those kind of questions, what's the smell like in the inside of a camel? Someone's just asked.
What's the what?
What is the smell like?
I don't know, all of those things bad. But I don't know, you get in the zone, don't you? I think the sort of magic of adventure and survival is there's always such a good parallel to life of, like, sometimes, you know, SHWT happens and you got to deal with it in life. Tough times happen is like, here we go. Everyone's great when the sun's shining. Everyone's great when it's all going great. Like we elevate when it's grim and it's raining and we're cold and we're confronted with the anus of a skunk to eat, you know. So I kind of just learned that all these things aren't going to be great, but just like sometimes, just do it. Yes, some great words of wisdom in that. All you're gonna take away from this is like, I'm not going ever near that. You know? Well, that could be useful though. That's good.
Okay, fear. Facing fears have obviously been very real for you, very real for many people. But what have you learned in, say, the fear of death, facing the fear of death, the heights, whatever the fears that you've stared at?
Yeah, I think fear's part of life, isn't it? You know, all of us feel that. I mean, if you ever meet anyone who says he's never scared of anything, they're either lying or they're not doing enough. They're in that comfort pit. Not just a comfort zone, it's a pit. Because we decay, you've got to get out of it. You know, we're designed to thrive. And the fear is a reminder like focus. And I've just learned in my life that use it. Treat it as training time. You know, I get scared of so many things. You know, even like this sort of stuff, I get really super nervous backstage. I mean, if you were with me through that door earlier, my hand physically shakes. Not like properly like. Sometimes the security guys go, "You all right?" I go, "Yeah, I'm just like having a moment, you know." And I've just learned it's okay. It's life. It's like, it's good. It's actually training time. So I've learned not to run. Sometimes tempting when I see fire exits. But the green monkey gets bigger when I run. You've got to face these things and try and go towards them. So I've learned in my life to treat it as training time and keep walking towards the hard stuff.
Let's cross over from kind of adventure to faith. Now, you've spoken honestly about your Christian faith over the past few years. How did your faith first come about, Bear?
Well, I think my faith is still on a real journey. And I definitely don't feel I've got it all together in any way. But I think as a young kid, I always had a really natural faith. At this sort of, young age, I always knew something was good and out there. And I wasn't churchy or religious. It's just like I knew light, it was good. I could feel it. I wouldn't be able to even articulate it like that. Then I went to school and I went to a very formal school where it was every day we had to go to chapel, and half of it was in Latin. And then everyone was wearing robes, and I just thought, that's how God is. Pretty scary, and I'm not sure I really like it. And I just threw the whole thing out, to be honest, the baby and the bathwater, and left it all behind. And I remember, and to be honest, I'm still on a journey, and it's actually been a lifetime of unlearning, really. Unlearning that actually the kid was right, as they always are. It's been unraveling that and knowing the heart of faith is, like I said earlier, it's a light inside, isn't it? The help for the dark days and the connection to something bigger and stronger and to each other. So, still on that journey. Still on the journey.
That's really honest, and I think it's going to help a lot of people. We live in a pretty divided world. Our world is broken in so many ways, but from the moment I first connected with you a couple of hours ago, you're very optimistic. You're full of hope. You're full of positivity for the future. Where does that come from?
Well, I think it's like why you never give up, or why you try to live with positivity or enthusiasm. The simple answer is the alternative. You know, I don't want to be a giver up, and I don't want to be down on everything. You know, the world is of course the world's a tough place. Like get used to it. But how we can live matters. And every day, all of us here, we're leaders. Whether you feel it or not, if you influence people, you're a leader. I don't care if it's the person you get a coffee from in the morning. You're interacting, you're having an effect. And therefore, we can choose to live with light and love and kindness and try and walk humbly and spread good energy. And, it might not always feel like it, but I'm actually really hopeful for the world. 99% of the time, people are amazing. And I think if you just read the papers, you're always going to be a bit down. But 99% of the time, people are good people wanting to do their best and want connections and want to make the world a little bit better. And that's the beautiful part.
It's really, really helpful. Can you talk to us about family? in your world, celebrity world, all the various things, the importance of family in the midst of such a crazy world that you live?
Well, first of all, I meet many wealthy people who have strings of broken relationships with their kids and their family and their friends, former friends, and it's like, that's not wealth. It's just not wealth. The only wealth all of us can measure in our lives is the quality of our relationships. And, family means different things to many people. Sometimes family is difficult. Blood family is tricky. But family means many different things. But I do think in terms of measuring our success in life, it has to be measured in terms of the quality of our relationships. That's our real wealth. And I think if you know that, you try and guard it. You guard what you love. You guard what you love. So, and that's not saying you don't focus on work. All of us, those of us that work hard, you should work hard. It's good. But it's also kind of knowing your priorities in your life and trying to guard the things of greatest value. And that's not always easy for ambitious people because we want to kind of, get out there and do stuff. But guarding and protecting those closest to us is actually a great conscious skill. It's a skill to that's worth investing in. And it's harder than it sounds sometimes. But it is where our real wealth will always lie.
Amazing. Now you wrote this book, The Greatest Story Ever Told. You've sold 20 million books. You've done some of the greatest adventures on the planet. Yet you talk about this as your greatest achievement ever. Can you unpack that a little for us tonight?
Well, it's what I get. I don't know. First of all, it's all of our stories. That's the truth. It's all of our stories wrapped up in his story. That's been the eye-opening bit. That's what history is, his story, history. But faith is all of our stories. And I wrote this because most of us don't know this story. I'm the same. I grew up on stories at chapel, at church, of the Nativity or the Crucifixion or Good Samaritan or these stories. But they were in here, and they were never in here. And the actual whole story is mind-blowing. It's an incredible story of love and friendship and adventure and sacrifice and rescue. And it changes lives all the time, and most people have never read it. And I realized nobody had written the story of Christ just as a straight story. And actually, a pastor in America wrote to me the other day. He said, what you've done is this is genius. It's like Tom Clancy's been tasked with writing the Jesus story, which actually is a nice, cool way of putting it. But I struggle reading. So I wrote it in 2 and 3 page chapters, short. I mean, that's how I read, and then I'm out. I'm done. But out of everything I've done, the response to this has been totally different. Forget the TV stuff. TV stuff I love. It's my job, and it's a platform to kind of connect with people and encourage people to love life in the outdoors. What a gift. But the thing that people respond to the most is this, and I never anticipated. I've had every culture, every country, every faith, every age. I have Muslim grandmothers writing to me as much as I have Hindi kids in India who are reading it by the thousands and thousands. And they all really the letters say the same thing, which is I had no idea of the real story. Even your wonderful daughter, how's Miracle? How old is she?
She's 14.
14, she'd grown up in a church. So she said, I had no idea. Again, I knew stories. But I didn't know, this guy's incredible. Why did regular people why were they fighting to get through the crowds just to try and touch the hem of his clothes? Why? Why were the religious elites so fearful of him? And I didn't know the answer to all this. And it's, like I say, it's been a privilege and, one of the hardest things, because you're up there a bit more publicly, but I don't mind that. One of the things I did to research the book was actually read the Bible cover to cover 3 times, which, to be honest, that's a mission as well, especially for people in my brain who reads a 3-page, at a time. But the one thing I learned was there's one command in the Bible that's repeated more than any other command, 365 times, which is a lot. And it just says, be of good courage. Do not be afraid. And the soldier in me gets that. It's okay. It's okay. 365 times. So I've done it. And And I'm very grateful for people, any of you guys that sent messages and stuff. And it's one of the reasons I'm here, because people say, tell us about it. And I was going to finish this evening by reading a little bit from it. But it's different. It's not these stories. You know, it's all of our stories. And that's much more important.
Would you try to finish up by reading a short
Sure.
section from the book?
I always try and finish these things early. Again, that's like a really good discipline in life. So this will be quick. This will be 5 minutes, and then we'll wrap up. I think we're going to sing a song at the end. Got like finishing on a song. So the book is written from 5 different perspectives of eyewitnesses, of those that knew this guy best. I use all the Aramaic names so Jesus is called Yeshua, and the other guy, and all places. And because, again, I think so many of us have filters. You know, just the word God is scary. Jesus that's even more kind of scary for people. You know, so I want to start from the beginning to come at it afresh. And this is about halfway through the book. This is one of the guys who's closest to him, who's pretty cynical, but slowly his heart's changing, and it's becoming hard to fight. And it gives an insight into the nature of this guy he's spending this time with. A few days later, we were back in Capharnaum. We were at Shimon's mother-in-law's house, and we were all dog-tired, wanting to rest. But Yeshua was determined to keep going, talking with whoever came to see him. And I sometimes wondered how he kept it up. It was like he had this endless strength of will to be there for whoever asked for him. Yeshua sat down on the floor, listening, laughing, laying his hands on the many children's heads, blessing them. He loved to do this. It was the one thing that seemed to give him energy rather than drain it from him. The house now was rammed full of people. Everyone just hoping to get a glimpse of Yeshua for themselves. And I'd never seen the place like this. There was not room for one more person. But even that didn't stop some others. I spotted one group of young men who'd been shouting earlier outside the door, start to climb up onto the roof. Shimon shouted at them to get down. But they took just no notice. Then suddenly, they hauled back the thatch on the roof and kicked and widened a hole wide enough to lower the stretcher. And we all just watched this mat descend with this contorted and paralyzed man bundled up inside it. Yeshua was smiling. He was smiling at the brazen audacity of the paralyzed man's friends. And before the figure had even hit the ground, Yeshua told him with a smile, "Young man, your sins are forgiven." Forgiving sins, that took us all by surprise. And the comment did not go unnoticed. Some of the rabbis who were there started muttering disapproval. They called such language blasphemy. Who is this man to say such things? Can a mere man forgive sins against God just like that? But as usual, Yeshua was ahead of them. And right there in the middle of the house that had grown so hot it was hard to breathe, Yeshua stood up and raised his hands to quieten everyone. And then he spoke plainly. So why the gossipy whispering? Which do you think is simpler to say? I forgive your sins, or get up and walk? He looked around for an answer that he knew would never come and continued. Well, just so it is clear that I'm the Son of Man and authorized to do either. He now turned to the paraplegic. Get up, take up your mat, and go home. At this, the man tentatively put his hands on the floor and bent his contorted knees closer to his chest. And then in one fluid motion, he simply leapt up. And the whole place just burst into spontaneous applause. The man stood there, unable to comprehend how. He was wide-eyed, and then this huge smile broke across his face, and he looked up to his friends in the roof. And then he started to dance. And everyone just burst out laughing. started cheering. None more so than the friends who could not believe what they were seeing. Even the rabbis were surprised, and they looked at each other in stunned disbelief. That day, a true celebration of life and laughter came to that household. And whenever I think back to those days, traveling throughout Galilee, I smile to myself. The long walks, the nights together under the stars, the miracles, the hungry crowds, then retreating into the hills, just us guys. Followed by endless fishing on the lake, and endless laughter. Even I, the old cynic, was starting to laugh a little more. In time, so much would change. The crowds wouldn't always be so full of love, and the teachers of the law wouldn't be silenced so easily. But back then, it was like a golden time, a period where everything was full of light, and the darkness could not penetrate it. My great hope was that it might stay that way forever. It didn't. It couldn't.
Amazing.
Thank you, guys. I just want, John, you've been such a good guy through all of this. I just want to say, though, to all of you this evening, like I said at the start, first of all, it really genuinely means a lot that you've come. I know it's an outlier type event. It's different from normal, and I kind of like that. You know, it's not a live show. It's not a comedy thing. It's like different. And sometimes in life, it's great to visit that place because it's about our lives and our futures and our relationships and where we find confidence and hope and all those key things. And I genuinely wish you guys love and happiness and success in your journey of life, but also of faith. Thank you, guys. God bless.
Incredible. Just before the choir come back, we just want to give you an opportunity to explore faith. And I want to just show you one quick video around the Alpha course, which Bear endorses. And it's really a course for people to ask questions about, hey, what happens next? What's life all about? The purpose and the meaning, and maybe unpack some of the questions that we've heard tonight a little further. So just check out the screens one more time.
What does it take to live a life of adventure? The truth is, the first step is always the hardest. That's the one that takes the most courage. But I've learned not to run from that fear and just do it. My Christian faith can be a little up and down, like any relationship. It has struggles and it has doubts. But it's so often brought light to a dark path. Warmth to a cold mountain, and strength to a failing body. I remember crawling onto the summit of Everest and clearing the snow from my mask to see the curvature of the earth at the edges. But finding a simple faith that empowers my life, to me, that's been my greatest adventure. Questions about life? Try Alpha.
There we go. Alpha course is launching on Thursday, the 22nd of January, so in a couple of weeks' time. And we want to invite you back. And when you leave, we're going to place an invitation in your hand to give you an invitation to come back and explore faith a little bit further. And Bear and his family have done the Alpha course, and they found it so helpful, especially in the times that we live.
And just reminding ourselves that faith is not a destination, it's a journey. And every day we get to discover who we are in Christ and our purpose here on this earth.
And you can be part of Soul Church. You can belong even if you don't believe in God. You can, if you're just looking for community, a connection point, you are welcome to come and join us on a Sunday at 9 a.m. or 11:30 a.m. Or maybe just join online at 11:30 on a Sunday on our YouTube channel. You can just watch from your home. But we want to say how grateful we are for you to be here tonight. Thank you for taking your time. And please don't leave it a whole year till the wonder before we see you again.
Yeah.
Have you enjoyed tonight?
Oh,
Come on, would you thank the team and Bear and everyone one more time?
amazing.
Well, we're going to finish this evening with a school assembly classic, Shine, Jesus, Shine. If you don't know it, you're about to learn it. Okay, so why don't you stand to your feet? We're going to pray that God's light...
Get your phone torches out.
Get your torches out on your phone. We're going to pray that God's light shines in this dark world. We love you.
Thank you for coming.
Happy New Year.
Be blessed.
God bless.
Lord, the light of your love is shining in the midst of the darkness shining. Jesus, light of the world, shine upon us. Set us free by the truth you now bring us. Shine on me. Shine on me. Shine, Jesus, shine. Fill this land with the Father's glory. Blaze, Spirit, blaze. Set our hearts on fire. Flow, river, flow. Flood the nations with grace and mercy. Set forth your word, Lord, and let there be light. Lord, I come to your awesome presence, from the shadows into your radiance. By the blood I may enter your brightness. Search me, try me, consume all my darkness. Shine on me, oh shine on me. Shine, Jesus, shine. Fill this land with the Father's glory. Blaze, Spirit, blaze. Set our hearts on fire. Flow, river, flow. Flood the nations with grace and mercy. Set forth your word, Lord, and let there be light. As we gaze on your kingly brightness, so our faces display your likeness, ever changing from glory to glory. Mirrored here, may our lives tell your story. Shine on me, oh shine on me. Shine, Jesus, shine. Fill this land with the Father's glory. Blaze, Spirit, blaze. Set our hearts on fire. Flow, river, flow. Flood the nations with grace and mercy. Set forth your word, Lord, and let there be light.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for coming. We invite you to join us on Sundays at 9 a.m. and 11:30. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much for being part of Soul Church Online. If today's message encouraged you, why not subscribe to our channel so you don't miss what's coming up?
If you made a decision to follow Jesus today, we'd love to celebrate with you and help you take your next step. So why don't you just send us an email to connections@soulchurch.com and one of our team will be in touch shortly.
We also want to give you the opportunity to partner with us in sharing the good news of Jesus in our city and across the nations. You can give securely at soulchurch.com. Your generosity makes a real difference.
Thanks for joining us for Church Online this week.
Yes, and remember to choose joy.
Take care.